Well, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those of you over in New Zealand. Hope it's a nice day wherever you are. I just wanted to have a bit of a chat before we kicked off officially. I know there were some questions yesterday around RCFG files and high refresh rates and different configurations and things like that. Basically, to make your own config, yeah, it's possible, but you really need to know the layout and the ins and outs of the particular module to build them. 99% of the time, you just want to do a readback from when you first get the cabinet file from your vendor and save that file. Normally, they'll ship those files with the panels as well. Sort of the refresh rate also relates very much so to the IC and the quality of the IC. The IC predominantly drives your brightness as well as the refresh rate of the screen. So the brighter the screen, the lower the refresh, and vice versa. But the higher the driver IC quality is in your screen, the better performance you're going to get of both of those. And that's the easiest way to save a cost on some screen, is to put a low performing IC chip in there. That can, halve the price of your screen, if not more, by putting a really low quality IC in there. You may get it still might get a decent refresh rate out of it, but your brightness can drop way down. So there's so many factors that go into different LED screens and qualities, and not everything you see is the same sort of quality. So the specs can be very loose, and a lot of manufacturers will basically beef the specs up to make their screens look on par with some other screens. So, a lot of you are tech and you know this, but it's really looking down, not, just because the LED screen says it's an SMD 2727 with NovaStar processing and an indoor, whatever the brightness, you've also got to really look at the type of LED chips and the driver ICs that are driving a screen. They can have a massive impact on everything to do with cost and also performance. So that's just something to be mindful of. So yeah, so basically the moral of the story is config files, unless you know the type of IC and the way that your ICs are basically mapped out driving your LED chip inside your modules, it's kind of hard to build your own config file. There are some smart settings in there, and as the Nova guys said, they can do some advanced training on building your own RCFG file. But 99% of the time, you're going to have the most optimized file that comes from the factory. And sometimes you might want to go in and tweak the refresh, and you'll lose some bit of brightness. But look, unless you really need to change it, I wouldn't recommend playing with your RCFG file, especially now. Screens have come a long way from where they were 5-10 years ago. Whereas before you used to be, getting 960 hertz out of them and they were looking really bad on camera. Now, most of the professional series of screens are coming out, 3840 refresh or, in 2600, somewhere around there. And they're all pretty decent. So, gone are the days of having to really push these things to get good refresh. But yeah, just be careful. You can still overdrive your ICs and cause damage to your screen. But moving on, obviously today we're talking about redundancy and a few other bits and pieces. I'm going to jump into the Q&A at the end as well, just to help. So if there are any other questions, obviously put them in the chat, and then between me and Ray, we'll answer those. And I'll hand over to Jay and Ray now, who will be handling today's training. So any questions, shout out, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ray from NovaStar. And today I will share two useful topics. And the first one is redundancy configuration. Okay, let's begin. The first part is why do we need it, and how can it improve the stability? And we can see the system's structure. Normally, there is only one channel from video source to the processor, to the controller, and to the receiving cards. But what will happen if the data channel is broken? All the rest of screen will be blacked out. We can see like this. Because there is no data goes into the cabinet behind, so don't worry about this. Noah will help here. If there is no data comes in from the main channel, all these receiving cards will get signal from backup channel automatically. And the switch is so fast that nobody will notice it. After that, if one more cable is broken, so what should we do? Yeah, if one more cable is broken, just fast and change the cable, please. So next page. Yeah. Let's say the structure of the backup setting. This is the backup setting which be done on same controller ports as backup of other ports. You can see 2 ports from same controller and 2 receiving cards. And now we know that with backup setting, we can keep screen working when there is a cable broken or even a sending card is off. And above, it's a hardware structure about how to do the configuration so that the controller know which one is primary and which one is backup. To set it up, we can do it through both software and hardware. We will start with software operation first. And for example, there is a screen which controller by 2 ports, and we will use extra 2 ports for redundancy. Let's see how to set it up with all 3 different control methods. First is redundancy on single unit. This is a hardware connection, and I use mcontrol 660 Pro as an example here, and we will use port 1 and 3 as primary control, and port 2 and 4 will be set as backup ports. And let's back to the software. Screen connection always be the most basic setting and also very important. All the backup setting is based on a screen in software. If the screen connection is wrong, the rest backup setting become useless. So for this part, we can say that screen connection. This one is quite important part. So if we are doing this part, do some configuration here, we need really confirm that's correct. So as I said, we need a screen first. So let's go to the screen configuration and select which port we are using and type in combinate size here. Yeah, here, that's step 2. So here is a resolution, not the physical size. And after connect combinate 1 by 1, the order should be same with the physical connection order. And after that, send that to hardware and check. If that's possible to see the screen, please check, is that correct? If not, maybe find somewhere we are doing not correct. So if all information is correct, please click this, click save. Make sure all information has saved in controller. Okay, after screen connection, we come back to the sending card part and to configure the backup. Click add first. We can see that's here. Click add first, and we can see top part is number of primary controller and the number of backup controller. Anyway, here we got only 1 controller, so all of them is 1. Yeah. And we can see in the bottom, that's number of primary port and the number of backup port. In this case, we are trying to set port 2 as the backup for port 1. So just type in 1 here, and 2 for backup. And for now, that's displayed in screen. That's where we are trying to set port 4 as a backup port for port 3. And after that, click Add, and all the information will display here. That's port 2 as a backup for port 1. And when we finish all backup settings, send that to hardware. And after that, click Save. Make sure everything is saved in controller. And the second method is redundancy on multiple cascaded unit. We can see all units are cascaded with USB, and the hardware connection shows as this. We can see USB cable from PC to first controller, and one more USB to second controller. And for video source, this green cable, that's a video source. For video source, from PC to the processor. To confirm both controller has received exactly same video source. And for M control 300 and M control 600, between the first controller and the PC, we are using USB cable. But between the first controller and the second controller, we need to use this kind of cable from out to in. That's a 5-pin cable. You can see out and in. That's 5-pin cable. But do you think the cascading cable for M control 300 and M control 600 is not easy to MSD 300? It's not easy to get during the event and limited by distance. So for M control 660, we are using Ethernet cable to act as cascading cable, still from out to in. This part cascade. Yeah, and we are using Ethernet. If we are using the Ethernet cable, it is still have problems. The RJ45 cable, it's very easy to be broken. So we start to use a USB cable to do the cascading. For all these controllers, M control R5, 4K, Pro HD, Pro UHD, VX4S, VX6S, and all other devices use a USB cable. After that, let's back to the software setting. With this control method, there what should get on NOAA LCT and the Smart LCT. Only one control system. Here, only one control system. But 2 SIM card, that's number of device, that's 2, is detected. And when we click this screen configuration, we can see both devices use only one communication port. Yeah. And the screen connection operation, that's same with we did before. Just one thing we need to pay attention to that. Only set the configuration to SIM card 1. Just set screen connection for SIM card 1. And that same select which port we are using, and the combinate resolution, combinate connect order according to the physical order, and send that to hardware. Here, send that to hardware, and save. Following step will be a little different. Click Add, and we can say, in this case, we are using controller 2 as backup. So here, just type in 2. So the information displayed here, that means the port 2 for controller 2. It's a backup port for port 2 of controller 1. And after that same, click hide and click send and save the information. And the third control method, that's redundancy on multiple units, but all units are non-cascaded with USB cable. Both devices connect to PC separately, and hardware connection shows as this. Yeah, that's also exactly same video source from PC to both controller, but the USB cable is from each to control PC. And with this control method, they are what should get on LCT and Nova LCT and Smart LCT. There are two control systems and two sending cards. You can see two control systems. And here, the number of devices, that's 1, 2, yeah. And when we click screen configuration, we can see 2 USB port detected here. When we click this screen configuration, we can see here. Yeah, 2 USB ports. And we can see here, first we need to do is select primary screen USB port, configure one screen. That's actually same step. Select SIM card and which port, and the connection order, and send that to hardware. And save. And one more step, let's save this file to your PC, and we need this file later. And after that, we'll move to backup controller. Oh yeah, one more thing, we need to back to the SIM card interface and just tick this, set as primary. Yeah. And configure the backup SIM card. For backup SIM card, we can see different USB port. And the one thing we need to pay attention is that first we need to set up the screen connection on the two controllers in exactly same way. Yeah, exactly same way. And do you remember the file I asked to save in your PC? We can also click this load from file and load the file we saved. That will make sure two screens totally same screen connection. Yeah. And simply click send to hardware and save. And let's move to the SIM card page. For the backup controller, just take set as backup and save. And the one thing you may ask is where is the backup information saved? That is sending card. Nothing we're recording in receiving card. And we can also set that in front panel. Here we also use VX4S as an example. First, we need to set up the screen connection on the two controllers in exactly same way. Then follow the step in this picture. And the left part, this part, that's for the main controller, and the right side, this one, is for backup controller. That's all the three methods we can set up a redundancy for our control system. And maybe let's have a 5 minutes break, and I will move to another topic today. That's multiple screen solution.
Hey guys, I'll just jump in there. I just saw a question about how you set up the redundancy with a TB6. The TB3s and TB6s have basically got a main and an automatic backup port. That's sort of their fundamental limitation. So the TB3 is basically like an M-Control, well, it's not even like an M-Control 300. You can use one port actively on a TB3 and one port as a backup. So you basically, your screen limitations on the TB3 is around 650,000 pixels. And then on a TB6, it's double that because there's 2 active ports and 2 redundant ports. So fundamentally, the backup ports on the TB series are automatically hardware defined and you can't change them. The difference on the TB8 is there's no redundancy as default. So you've got 4 ports and you can configure 3 of them as redundancy or 2 of them as redundancy or whatever works for you there with a particular TB series. So that's a little bit of difference there with the TB series. Obviously, we did talk about Smart LCT. It'll do backup exactly the same way, except it's got some pretty graphical stuff in there to make it a bit more visual for that. So has anyone got any quick questions on backup before we move on to the next section? Feel free to chat in the group chat. It's okay, Glenn. Happy to answer. Ian, for your question about the LCT, yeah, basically when you're in there, there's a zoom on the screen connection page and that will fix that. I know what you mean about the text on the primary backup. If you just hover your mouse over it, it will show the full line of text on that. And Ray, I'll hand back over to you now if you want to move on to the next section.
Hey, hello. Okay, so let's move to the second topic. Second topic today is multiple screen solution. I think you are familiar with this topic if you have done lots of LED video wall projects. For example, the double-sided screen, which is a very common example. And after taking this course, you may understand how to set up the multiple screens physically and what is the necessary software setting that you need to know. And most important is that how to manage the multiple screen at the same time. So that's all the ideas I want to share with you today. Okay, first I want to start with what is multiple screen management. Multi-screen management is the combine multiple screen into one combined screen, allowing for easier brightness adjustment, screen calibration, and monitor configuration with a higher working efficiency. And you may wonder which products can support the multi-screen management. And the answer is all. All our SIM card and the SIM card can support that. And it's very convenient. For example, if you have 10 screens that needs to change brightness, I believe you would not willing to change it one by one when you know you can set multiple screen management. And in this part, we will see how to set up multiple screen. After knowing what is multi-screen management, now let's see how to set up. And we can see some real case here. That's a double-sided screen. And the sending card is some M-Control 300 and receiving card MRV 330. Combined resolution, that's 192 by 192, and the screen resolution for each side, that's 768 by 384, that's P10. And we can see for the case one, that's double-sided screen, but double-sided, that's exactly the same content. So this is a system structure. Because the resolution of the screen is not very big, and the M control 300 is enough for these two sides. Each output port for one side of the screen. And the control PC provides the DVI as a video source to M control 300, and the USB cable is used for config the screen. Okay, so now let's say how we finish the double-side screen configuration in Nova LCT software. First is how many screens we need to configure. We can see that here, quality of screen. That is double-sided, so definitely that's 2. And we can say 2 screens here. Yeah, 2 screens. And the port 1 for screen. So select port 1, tap in single. Yeah, port 1 is for screen 1. So select screen 1, selling card number 1, and port number 1, and just type in screen resolution and do the physical ordered screen connection. And the next step is select screen 2. And we all know that's port 2 for screen 2, and just type in count-minute resolution and connection order. After that, send that to hardware and check is that correct. If correct, just click save. And we can see now it's case 2, multi-side screen. That means the different screen use a different content. The sending card is 2 MSD 300, and the receiving card that's 336. And the receiving card loading area that's 104 by 104, and the screen resolution 728 by 728 each side. And this is a system structure for this case 2. We use 2 MSD 300 to load the 4 side screens. Each output port load one side of the screen. And we use a video processor to provide the same video source for both sending card. And we can see the structure, that's a HDMI, that's a video source to video processor, and the splitter that to exactly same source. And one more thing, it's a USB cable to first controller and cascaded to second one. Regarding to the software setting, the difference between this case and the last case is same content or different content. So for first screen, that is same with last case. Select how many screen we need, and which card, which port, and the combination size and the connection order based on physical order. But for the screen 2, we can say right part for screen 2. One more thing we need to think about is coordinate point. That's the start point for screen 2. We know for screen 1 and screen 2 that the content is different. So we need to think about that. Which part is the content we want to display in screen 2? And this part. And that's screen 1 and screen 2. For screen 3 and 4, that's exactly same with 1 and 2. Okay, after that, we will introduce how to set up multi-screen management. We can see there are two structures we can use for set a multi-screen management. The first way, we can use USB cable connect to PC separately. And the second, we can say we can cascade the sending card to controller them at the same time. So this one is cascaded, and this one connect to PC separately. So for the non-cascaded unit, we can say they will display it in Nova LCT, that's control system, that's 2. And we need select the communication port to configure the screen one by one. As you can see from this interface, the title is different communication port, COM3 and COM4. Yeah, COM3 and COM4. Do the screen connection one by one. And if we want to adjust the screen brightness, we can see here we need to select the common port to adjust the cross-banding screen. Now we only have 2 sending card and 2 screens, so that's fine. So what about if we have 10 screens? That could be a headache problem. Then we need to do this multi-screen management. We have 2 screens need to combine together, so the number of combined screens is 1. We can say multi-screen management. Then we can say number of combined screen, that's 1, and the number of screen is part 2. And we just right-click the green screen, select the communication port and the screen, then click OK. We finish combining the 2 screens, we can say. And there we go to the brightness interface again. Now we have only 1 combined screen, 1 time to adjust the brightness for both screens. And for cascaded unit, for this situation, for example, I have several sending cards cascaded together. I use 3 of them to configure 3 individual screens. Right top, select screen, select 3, we got 3 screens, and use cross-banding sending card to do the screen connection. And the same question come again. If we want to change the brightness, we got 3 screens. So no worry, let's do the multi-screen management again. The same step. We can see we just select combined screen 1 and the number of screens, that's 3. But one more thing different is here, we can select only 1 communication port. And in this port COM99, we can see 3 different screens. Just right-click the green screen on the top logic and select the cross-banding screen number, it's okay. And we can get the combined screen in brightness interface. You can see it's combined screen 1. And that's 2 methods we can add the different screens as a combined screen. So if you have any question or something, please leave that in the chat box and we will record and answer. Maybe Nance will record and answer the questions.